Welcome to the Holistic Wealth Podcast. I'm your host, Keisha Blair, wife, mother of 3, author of Holistic Wealth, and founder of the Institute on Holistic Wealth. The show will showcase various experts in the key pillars of holistic wealth. Each week, we deliver the best information on how to become holistically wealthy and live your best life. Today, we have a very special guest with us. We have Kim Gagne, and Kim is a veteran news, talk, and TV producer. She's earned 2 daytime Emmy Awards for NBC's hit talk show, The Steve Harvey Show, which we all loved, as well as several different shows. She also is the CEO of her new firm, Maxthatcommunications. Kim, welcome to the show. We're so excited and we're so happy to have you here.
Hi, thanks for having me, Keisha. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And so just to start off, Kim, your career has been tremendous and you've made so many amazing sacrifices in your career to get to where you are. So I just wanted to start off with that in terms of your journey and how that has been and that road to where you are now. Can you describe what that was like?
Yeah, I tell everybody pivot, 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 and pivot. I think the pandemic really helped us understand what the word pivot means because we were forced to pivot. You know, a lot of times people won't pivot because they don't have to and they are comfortable, but people got laid off. The doors at the office were closed. I mean, it was a mess for some people. And if you didn't pivot and if you really did not, and I tell people all the time, it was good to me. And I know people died and it was horrific on that sense. But in terms of me sitting myself down and being still, it was amazing for that. And I think if you did not enjoy the time that you got back, I think it was time for people to get back that they had lost because we were all so busy. We were all on a treadmill. We were all running. And then all of a sudden it was like, bam, and you had to sit down in a corner somewhere and think about a whole bunch of stuff. And I think for people like me and a lot of people in my circle, we took it as, okay, now's a great time to pivot. Now's a great time. If we were unhappy at a job we were doing, okay, I'm going to go find me another job. And then so I think a lot of people, and that's why we had the great resignation. I think a lot of people in the pandemic were like, wait a minute, I'm not at the potential to die from COVID and be miserable at my job. So I'm going to pivot. And I think that's one of the things that we learned in the pandemic. But prior to that, transitioning for me has just been kind of a way of life in my business. You know, if you're in television, and I was in television news, and I was blessed enough that when I started out, I stayed in my hometown, which is Houston, which is a big market. So Houston is like the 4th market in the country, and that's really a big market. Most of the time, people have to leave, go to, 155 market, and God knows where, Arizona, and then kind of work their way back up. But I was blessed that I was able to stay at home and work in this market, doing television news for over a decade or so. And so then, other opportunities came calling. I had kids and I did court shows and one of them became national. And so with that was my first time entree leaving home to go pursue a job. And so I found myself in LA working for about 6 months on this court show. And I really was miserable. It was the first time I was away from my husband and my kids and the time difference. It was awful. But I came home a year later, got a phone call. Well, not even a year later, probably while I was at that show, I got a phone call from a dear friend of mine. It was Steve's manager at the time. And it was like, hey, we're doing a new show with Steve for BET, and I need somebody with live television news experience. Come to Atlanta. And I'm like, I ain't going to Atlanta. I just got back home from LA. And my husband, who has also been so supportive of me, was like, no, you'll go and you'll do your thing and it's going to be great. So I ended up going to Atlanta. working on that show with Steve. And then from that show, we shot the pilot, which became what you know as the Steve Harvey talk show. So, but then I lived in Chicago for 4 years. So I lived in Chicago for 4 years while my family was in Houston. So I was flying back and forth, and I had 3 kids and a husband. So, it was challenging, but I'm glad I did it. And it paid off for me career-wise. But again, as a mom, we feel guilty because we work. Dads don't feel guilty because they work. Dads just go out and work. And, it was so many, people in the carpool lane and at my kids' school. Wait, you're going to go do what? Wait, you're going to leave your kids and whatever. They would never have said that to a dad. They would never have made a dad feel bad about that decision. But I'm glad I did it. My kids are fine. They seem to still like me. So it all worked out.
Absolutely. I know what that feels like, Kim. I absolutely do. And I know that you've done it on a much larger scale than I could have ever done it. But hats off to you. And there's so many amazing women who listen to this podcast who are entrepreneurs. And I know the next question that the audience is thinking is, number one, what was it like to work on the Steve Harvey show? And number two, if you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to get on a show to promote your business or your book or whatever new initiative or project you have, what do you do? I mean, how can you stand out? It's so hard in our culture now with the news cycle. We have COVID. We have the war in Ukraine. We have everything with the news with Trump. The news cycle is moving at a speed and pace that I don't even remember in modern history, in my time anyways, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Been like this. Yeah, so I'll let you answer that. But it's unbelievable in terms of how things are changing. And
it was good in terms of, what I learned and what we did. And we put on some great shows. I was there for 4 seasons. And we really focused a lot on the everyday person. It wasn't really about celebrity. We were in Chicago. And so, of course, Oprah had been in that market, and then Oprah shut down. And so, we had celebrities who would come on. That was great. But we really, from the very onset, wanted the show to focus around real people who were doing real things. And so we did that, and it was a real hit. People enjoyed it because we had real people on.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And so, we had a lot of fun with that show. We really did. But, again, getting on a national talk show, that you really got to be doing something in your community. And it can't be, I host a bake sale, once a year, and it's pretty good for my kids' school. So let me see if I can get on a national talk show. That would be a no.
Right.
But, if something is happening, that you've been doing and you've been quietly doing it or whatever, but now with social media, people, producers are finding you, when you may not even be looking for them, but they will find you based on your TikTok. They will find you a lot of times in a community where you're a hero, where you're standing out. They love promoting real people doing real things. So a lot of time the producers will find you. They're always combing social media. They're always combing Instagram, all the platforms, looking for real people doing extraordinary things. So that's one thing that will happen to make sure your social media is big, making sure you're keeping up with it, making sure that you are posting your videos, you're tagging the right people, and, that sort of thing. And then also just going to the page of the show that you want to be on. See if you can find an associate producer. See if you can find a producer who works on that show. Find their email and send them a pitch. A lot of times I would get pitches and the pitches would be great, and I'll go, wait, this is a great idea for a segment. And then we would pitch it. And next thing you know, some people have come onto the show like that. So I've had that happen a lot. And I still get thank yous from people who I helped get on the show, and things kind of just took off for them after that. So, yeah, but, it's hard. And if you gain some local traction with your local media, that always helps, because those are little stories that you can add to your pitch to bigger networks about what you have going on out there. But a lot of times, like I said, if you're doing the work, you're garnering the numbers and you're posting, and it's something that is really catching on. A lot of times these news people are the talk shows, whatever, they'll see you. Look at Ellen. Ellen used to find people all the time who were extraordinary or doing extraordinary things and bring them on the show and then give them thousands of dollars.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. And it's so amazing that you mentioned a point earlier when you said that focus on ordinary people, average people. And that was a real hit because I do realize now that a lot of shows are really focused on bringing on just celebrities, and it's all celebrity driven and what's their next big thing and their next move.
Yeah.
And so do you think that then, Kim, was fundamental to Steve's show in terms of the success?
Absolutely. I think us choosing not to be celebrity driven. And again, we had celebrities, all kinds of people, all kinds of celebrities, you name them, they came on, but they were not our focus. Our focus was having Steve do fun games, doing relationship games.
Right.
We would do dating games. We would do relationship games. We would do, Father Knows Best. We would bring on kids who were trouble kids and try to work with them because Steve has a mentoring program. So we did a lot with just regular people, and it resonated because they weren't celebrities hawking a book.
Yeah.
They were people who were just like you and me in their hometown, trying to, keep their son out of jail or whatever, and would look to Steve for advice. Or it was the girl who, had been proposed to 12 times but couldn't ever get married. And so those were the types of things we did on the show, and they resonated. They were a real hit with people. Yeah.
So interesting how a lot of brands and businesses and even startups nowadays try to get celebrity driven from the get-go. They try to get the big influencers and the big celebrities to endorse and not focus on the people, on the customer.
It's so funny you say that, and I'm going to have to send it to you. There was an article in one of the trade magazines that companies are now, getting away from using influencers and celebrities for their commercials and using everyday people, because they're finding that everyday people resonate more than just having a big name celebrity hawking your product.
And so, Kim, you're now running your own firm and you're doing much of the same things that you've done over the years with the last 20 years in your field.
Correct.
How has that been for you? And in terms of like COVID, what has that been like in terms of running the business and pivoting, as you mentioned, constantly and staying up to date?
Yeah, well, I had started my business in like 2011, just, to have a business name for my LLC and, as a loan out to the company is how I did my thing. And so, but when I came home in 2017, when I just came home, I said, okay, I got to make this business work because that good, nice check is gone. So I got to make this work, or I'm going to have to go work for somebody or go. And I knew I did not want to go back into a newsroom. I knew I didn't want to go be a corporate mouthpiece, which is easy for me to do based on my past. So again, what do? We pivot. So, I came home and the first thing I knew how to do was do PR. The first thing I knew how to do was like marketing and PR and web episodes and video content and production. So that's what I did. And then when people found out I was home based on, who I am in Houston and what I had done, people were like, oh, we can hire you to be the producer of our whatever. Yeah, I'm for hire. And that's how I built the business up. Now, in COVID, I was rolling. 2019 was very good. Now we get into 2020. Things are going good. I've got several, retained clients. And I'll never forget, one of them was an art gallery. And we were planning a big exhibit. We were already planning for August. And we were going to have a big Prince exhibit come through. And so we had an event coming up. And man, I tell you, it is March 15th. And we have a meeting and we're talking about this COVID thing that's happening. And by March 20th, the world shut down. And it didn't take but maybe 3 or 4 weeks for everything I had planned. Mm-hmm. All of my events, all of my press, everything I planned all the way through October had been canceled. Wow. So all of my business went away. Goodbye.
Wow.
Goodbye. But I was fortunate enough that I got a phone call from Tina Knowles, Beyonce's mom, who's a great friend, and they wanted to do a COVID drive in Houston. But Tina's like, hey, look, ain't none of us coming out the house. We ain't leaving LA. We ain't coming out the house. So, hey, we want to hire you to do it. So I ended up producing that for them. And then other, companies that needed COVID, whatever productions would come to me and I would help that. So it ended up that I was doing work, and it wasn't as bad for me financially as it could have been or for other people. Yeah. But for the most part, I was like everybody else, I took a big hit, and I was able to get a PPP loan. I was able to get a couple of grants because I'm a small business. Yeah. So that really kept me afloat until we were able to get vaccinated,
Those are some good points in terms of people listening in who are still suffering from COVID-19 and people who've lost jobs and people whose businesses went belly up and they're still wondering.
It was so much.
It's unbelievable.
Some of your favorite businesses just did not make it.
Yeah, absolutely. And with inflation and everything that's going on in the economy, it's even worse. And
It's a lot. I mean, I now work from, that was another thing, shut down the office. Worked from home, converted a bedroom into an office. I took a bed out. It was their bedroom. Took the bed out, took everything in there out, and set up office. And that became a home office. Yeah. So I think we all did what we had to do to make it work. And, once I started working from home, I'm like, I'm not renting the office space anymore. I'm good.
Exactly. And it's one of those ways that we've learned. COVID has taught us so many lessons.
Yes, it has. If you were not paying attention, and if you did not really be introspective about yourself and just the lessons that you could have been learning during COVID, then you really missed an opportunity. It was a big lesson turner. It really gave you a lot of lessons. It really did.
And it's so true. And in terms of the financial aspect, I don't think yes, there was the health aspect, but then the other big part was the financial aspect in terms of those lessons that we all learned.
Absolutely. I think we all did learn. We all learned that we did not need a Starbucks every day. We learned that we could make our own coffee at home and make a Frappuccino or go get you an espresso machine for, $100, $200, and you saved a whole bunch over the year. I mean, I think we all learned that we didn't have to do a lot of things, that we didn't need all the clothes we were buying, and that we didn't need this and we didn't need that. And I think a lot of people just really realize, to be honest with you, me and my husband fixed up our backyard that we never go into. Yeah. We have a pool. Yeah. And we never go back there. We fixed up the backyard and it became our oasis. Right. And that was like a group of friends. It was like maybe 6 of us, and we all hung together during COVID and would only go to each other's houses. Yeah. And that's how we passed the time away. And that's how we got through COVID. Yeah. But we really started enjoying our house in COVID. Yeah, we showered and we slept there and we watched TV and we had a refrigerator in the kitchen, but we were all so busy, that we really didn't take time to sit outside on the patio and put the flowers and man, it was like, wait, we have a really nice backyard. And so, it was just a lot of things. And now I don't want to go back to clutter world. I don't want to go back. And what I've said is I will never go back to Kim of 2019. The hamster wheel Kim, I'm not ever going back to her. And when I feel myself kind of getting to be hamster wheel Kim, it's like I have to say, don't do that. Yeah. We're not going back to her again.
Yeah, I know. And it's so true. And I feel the same exact way. And it's so funny because, I felt that way with 2 big events in my life. First, in 2009 when my husband died, and second with COVID. And I keep going back, I keep saying to myself, I'm never, ever going back to that. And I have to keep reminding myself, you're right, that on the hamster wheel, we're not going back to that because
don't go back to many lessons. And it's hard because everybody's pulling at you to come do this and do that. And, it's real easy to get back on hamster wheel. It really is. But I'm telling you, I'm looking for my, parachute right now. I'm trying to make as much money as I can in the next 5 years. I have, 2 kids through college already, and I got one more to go. And I'm really trying to make as much money as I can in the next 5 years so I can do like this and, watch sunsets. I want my biggest question of the day to be, what am I having for breakfast? That's what I want my biggest question to be.
That's so true.
Yeah. What am I
That's so
having for
true.
breakfast? Yeah.
That is so true, Kim. And, since you're talking personal finances, I have to ask you this next question because in the updated version of Holistic Wealth, there's a whole chapter on personal financial identity. And it's helped me personally so much in terms of embracing mine. And I'd love for you, I know you took the quiz, and I'd love for you to share your results with us and any other insights that you have in terms of, you mentioned some goals a while ago, some personal finance goals and family goals. What were your results, and any other thoughts you have with that would be amazing.
The quiz did make me go, ooh, ooh, ooh. Huh. I hadn't thought about that in a while,
Yeah.
And I was really big in the financial and saving money probably when I was very young in my 20s and 30s or whatever. And of course, then life happens and then you can't put into this account like you want to. And then when you become an entrepreneur, like I worked for a company that still did a 401k. I mean, I don't even know if that exists anymore in companies, And so, but I did have a company, so I will have a pension. If it's anything left in it with this economy, I have no idea, So I do have those kinds of things. But, on the flip side of that, when you work for yourself, a lot of times you're so busy just trying to cover your monthly expenses.
Yeah.
You're just trying to pay the house note, the car note, and the kids, blah, 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 blah. It's sometimes you forget that, I need to put a certain amount away in my 401k or in my mutual fund.
Yeah.
We don't do it. We don't add to it. Right.
Yeah.
And if you are an entrepreneur, it is imperative or you will not have any money left when you try to retire. You're going to just be living off of Social Security. And trust me, my mom lived off of Social Security and God bless Social Security, but thank God we were able to supplement for her.
Yes.
Because, if not, what they expect people to live on is crazy.
Yeah.
And so if you're not paying attention to that as an entrepreneur, please get with a financial advisor and find out how much you need to put in every month, that you're going to figure out how to put in some money to stock away, so that you can have something. And so when you're at that age where you don't want to just keep grinding anymore, you can have some money. But I'm already telling, my older two who went through college already, I'm like, hey, look, let's put $100 a month in a mutual fund for you every month, put, $100 in it. And by the time you're 55, no longer 63 at the very latest, you'll be a millionaire. Okay. So do it now while you're in your 20s. I wish somebody would have told me that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But nobody told me that. So,
And it's great advice. And you're so right. We have to maximize our 20s. I think that's the big lesson.
That's the big lesson is you gotta maximize. Oh my God, if nobody hears anything else, you have to maximize your 20s.
Yeah.
You really, really do. You gotta open up a mutual fund. You gotta put $100 a month in the mutual fund. That's the $100 that you spend to go to the bar. That's what I tell my daughter in San Francisco. You spend $100 at a bar.
Yeah.
Okay. Buying drinks and eating food. Put the $100 in a mutual fund every month. Just got to, but mom, shoot, I'm barely making, I'm living in San Francisco. Well, maybe you need to look at another city.
Yeah.
So, I'm just saying, I'm really trying to make them understand how important that is, because I don't want them to be, later on, having to look for money. Now, I will say this as a parent, and again, what I did do and what my husband did do, and hopefully my kids aren't listening, but we have, we set up our wheels, which is another important thing to do, especially for entrepreneurs. And if you have kids and all of that stuff, you need to, oh my God, you need to get that straight. When I look and see celebrities, like Prince and Chadwick Boseman dying without wills, I'm really shaking my head, because I'm like, you got people around you, Aretha Franklin, all day long, and nobody's encouraged you to put a will together, or you did not think that was important, and you're leaving estates, you leaving catalogs, you leaving, and then the lawyers end up getting all the money. I think I read Chadwick Boseman's wife, they each got like $1 million. You know, she got $1 million, his parents got $1 million, and the lawyers, I think, got $785,000 in lawyer fees. That would not have happened if he had had a will that all they had to do was probate the will. Yes, they would have some expenses, but nothing like that. You know, and God knows how much money the lawyers made off of Prince before they finally settled that whole estate. I mean, James Brown, and the list goes on, and we don't have that kind of money. So, but I'm just saying, when me and my husband did our wills, we were shocked at how much goes into that, and that you don't even realize your net worth or your worth until somebody puts it on paper, you know? Yeah, so we did do, you know, and I was a real big proponent of life insurance, and I always have been. So I made sure that while me and my husband were young, and that, you know, we always had, you know, great life insurance. And, you know, we upped it, you know, as we got older with kids. So if something happened to us, our kids would not be trying to have a fish fry to bury us.
No, it's so true. It's so true. I'm a big proponent of life insurance. I'm glad you brought that up, Kim, because that was what saved me when my husband died when I was 31. And it's so important. So thank you for bringing that up, because as you said, you don't want to have a fish fry.
Girl, I'm not trying to go fry no fish and go fund me to, you know, for my kids to bury me. Please do not do that. Please just pick up the phone and just call the man and say, "Oh, mom died. I'm gonna need that check." You know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Jake from State Farm will show up, and here you go. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah,
absolutely.
I don't know. I think we're all so caught up in, a lot of times when you're young, you don't want to think about dying, you know. And funny story, my mom did not pass away until she was 95. So she passed away this year in February, right? But my mom, God bless her, had 15 life insurance policies. You know what I mean?
15.
It wasn't that many, but she had life insurance policies. Some of them were like $3,000, $2,000, you know, $3,000. But, you know, the point was that back then they believed in that, you know?
They did. They absolutely did.
Yes. And my mom had her plots. When she was a young woman, my mom bought 5 burial plots at the cemetery, you know? So she used all of them with family, and she last one. But I mean, a funeral will run you north of 10 grand, you know? It depends on what you're doing there. And that's an unexpected expense that nobody thinks about, you know?
It's true. It's so true. And you're right, because my mom was exactly like, my mom's still alive, but she's exactly like how your mom is. Yeah. She had several, just unbelievable how many. And it really taught me, I think it taught us some real good lessons there too. And so, you know, just to wrap up, Kim, where can, you know, if people want to find you in terms of your company, your business, can you tell people?
I'm at Maxthatcommunications.com. I need to redo my website, but you can at least find me there. Maxthatcommunications.com. I'm there. So that's really it. You know, my social media is just for me personally. So it's not, I don't have one for the business, because that's a whole nother monster that I'd have to keep up with. And so like I said, a lot of what I do is pretty much word of mouth. You know, it's like, you know, I'll find people or people will find me. That's how I do things. But, you know, my website is always there, maxthatcommunications.com. Yep.
Sounds good. And Kim, thank you so much for joining us. This was so much fun and so many lessons.
Thank you for having me. And I think my book, How to Win My Life in Television, is still somewhere on Amazon. You can always check that out too.
Absolutely. It's such an amazing story. So check that out, audience. It's such an amazing career you've had, Kim. It's just amazing. Thank you.
It has been a blessing. I will tell you that. It has been a blessing.
Thank you for joining us this week on Holistic Wealth with Keisha Blair. Make sure to visit our website, KeishaBlair.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, or via RSS, so you will never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, or if you simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. Are you a member of the Institute on Holistic Wealth? If not, what are you waiting for? Go to Institute on Holistic Wealth /memberships to choose your membership plan and join. As a member, you get so many perks. Free worksheets, advice, coaching, and a member's workshop to design an intentionally designed life. You need to figure out your life purpose? Take the Build Your Life Purpose Portfolio online self-paced course. You're struggling with all your money decisions? Take the free financial identities quiz and then take the course. You recently had a breakup, job loss, or experienced the death of a loved one? Take the Holistic Healing course. You need an overall plan to achieve holistic wealth? We will help you figure out your holistic wealth blueprint. And of course, if you want to start making money by helping others achieve holistic wealth, become a certified holistic wealth consultant. Regardless of what career you've got, the Institute will show you how to increase your income and walk in your purpose. The sooner you join, the sooner you start to achieve a more holistically wealthy lifestyle. And you're going to want to stay for a very long time. So go to Institute on Holistic Wealth /memberships to join. If you haven't read the book yet, pick up a copy of the award-winning, best-selling Holistic Wealth 32 Life Lessons to help you find purpose, prosperity, and happiness.